Hey everyone, Josh here. So today we're working away at the CJ TDI and we're putting this thing into service position. So that is basically taking the front clip from here and taking it off. So it makes life a lot easier if you have to do repairs on the front of the engine. So do a quick overview of why you'd want to do that and then we'll get started. So as I said, you're taking the whole front clip, rad, condenser, intercooler, everything from there away. So if you have to do repairs down in this area, that makes life a lot easier. So this car, I originally started doing the turbo, but it sent chunks into the intercooler, so I need to take the intercooler off to flush it out. I also need to do the condenser because everything's folded over flat and the fins are all rotted away, and this is my wife's car, so I want to make sure she has AC for her and the baby. So that's a lot easier with it off. I'm also going to do the refrigerant control valve on the compressor, which you can do that in car, but it's a lot easier. You can get in there nice without all this stuff here. Thermostat's another repair that's also getting. That's down in that dark abyss. I'm hoping if I have it in service position, I don't need to take the intake off, but I guess we'll see. That's for future video. I'm also doing the alternator clutched pulley. Again, if I don't have this fuel filter here, I could probably get in there with the engine jacked up a little bit. But again, service position, easy to get at. And then the other thing is, oh, when the turbo line came off, the fitting that went into the turbo, it didn't have any flats anymore, so I just twisted the line off. So the other end of that line's down there somewhere, so may as well take all this off and I can get there nice and easy. So we're gonna get this into service position. The biggest issue, so the Mark IVs, I've done them before where you can take front clip and kind of swing it over a bit and rest it on a stool or a bench or something and keep the AC intact. The issue on these Mark 6s is you've got that one high side line there. That's maybe 2 or 3 inches of rubber. And then the other high side that goes to the compressor, it's, I don't know, maybe a foot of rubber. So it's got a little bit of flex, but not a whole lot. So ideally you want the AC evacuated to get this right out of the way. It works good for me. I have my ODP license, so I'm allowed to buy refrigerant. So I've got all the tools to do this. So I'm just going to evacuate it, but that might be an option if you don't want to pay to have that AC evacuated and recharged. You can maybe shimmy it over a little bit. But anyways, so we're gonna get to obviously getting this into position. Okay, so starting off, we're gonna get this bumper skin out of here. So I've got the inner fender out of here already because timing belt's on my list as well. So this is already out of here. But yeah, it's just a bunch of screws all around. It's not rocket science. But we've got one in here that holds the bumper to the fender here. And then we'll have to do that on the other side as well. And then we have our fog light connector lights in the back side here. Same thing, our marker lights. We're gonna pop this grill off, all these bolts. And then I imagine there's gonna be some bolts across there. And then same thing, just repeat on this side. Okay, so we got these 4 bolts across the top here out. There's some clips across the bottom that hold it in, so you just have to grab carefully underneath here. Just give it a sharp pull. I've already pulled this apart, but that is that. So we've got that one there, and that one there. And then we go over to the fender well. So you don't need to take the inner fender out necessarily. There's just this bolt that goes up, and then all the ones that bolt into the bumper itself. This thing was an accident, so I just want to double check that I don't have any hidden surprises in here. But this also gives you a good view of the lights. The fog light here. And then if you're Canadian, you're gonna have the block heater or the coolant heater cord here yet as well. So you can pop that out. So then it's just the 2 across the top that I just showed, and then we've got a bunch across the bottom here yet. So if you do have that block heater or cooling heater cord, it's extremely easy. You've got this connector that sits on top. So you just gotta get in there a pry bar or like a little pick and just pop these tabs apart, and then that'll come up, and then now I can just get this cable sitting not in the bumper. So now that's out of the way. So all of our electrical should be unplugged from the bumper now, and now we just have all the screws that we gotta undo. Okay, so I'm not sure what kind of dollar store bolts they used, but 2 of them they stripped out. So left-handed drill bit got the one out, and the other one just got so hot it melted the rad support. So left-handed drill bits might be your friend if you live somewhere salty. But anyways, all the screws are out. So now the trick is the Mark IVs, you'd slide everything ahead. Well, these ones, you just kind of pop them out. Then same thing, go to the other side, pop it out, and then this bumper skin is off. So now it looks like we're getting somewhere. So you can see the condenser doesn't look very nice. So they have these, they had 2 of them kind of sitting in here. So I guess that's to kind of stop rocks and stuff from hitting it, but obviously it's not doing a very good job. And then yeah, it's all thanks to our Southern Ontario winters and all the salt and sand and good stuff. So it is what it is. So I've got the bumper sitting on the roof racks nicely. I guess this can go up there too. Can join the other one. So up next, we're gonna get the headlight surrounds out. So it's looking like that, probably this one here, down there, and then yeah, back on the fender supports here. So taking these out so that way I don't have to worry about dropping it and breaking them. I'll probably cut and buff them and maybe send it to my buddy to get clear coated. That way they don't end up really dull. Okay, so it's actually less bolts than I thought. So you got that one up top, that one there, a long one here that goes through that adjuster, and then just these 3 back here. And then you've got your plug there. And then you just give it a little tug. There's a little retaining clip thingy in here. But yeah, just give it a little tug, out it comes. Yeah, whoever was in here before didn't have the headlight locked into the tab correctly. So I'm gonna have to straighten that out, but it is what it is, so we'll get the other side out of here. Alright, so we're gonna get the system evacuating here shortly. We've got our high side connector. It's really nice and easy to get at without a headlight in there. And then our low side connector. So we'll get that pump on there and pump away. I just thought I would mention before we start that, we're also gonna get the coolant dropped, or while it's pumping away, we'll do that. The issue with these newer cars, the common rails, they don't have a drain spot anywhere on the bottom of the rad. So I don't know if anybody's got a better spot to drain it, let me know, but I always drain it from our block heater connection. So it kind of is what it is. It splashes everywhere. It always seems to make a mess, and I don't really have a clean way of draining it, but that's where I drain it from. So get the majority of the coolant out of it there. This lower rad hose that kind of connects halfway up the rad, it needs to come out because the AC connections are in behind it. So we'll do that. And then we've got our upper rad hose. So they just have those clip connectors. So when I get one off here, I'll show you how they work and how to get them apart. Okay, so refrigerant's out. We got 510 grams, and I'm not for sure. I think these hold 525, or maybe it's 575. So it's somewhere in the ballpark. The low pressure coupler, when I took the cap off, there was a bit of pressure in behind it, so I'll probably do the Schrader valve there. Other than that, I think it's set. Got coolant out. It's looking a little orange. So this car's got 260,000 on it with the original belt, so I'm going to assume the coolant's never been changed, so it's probably a good chance it's pretty baked. So we're going to do a flush here once we're front clips back together and we can actually run it. So got some miscellaneous cleaners and stuff, so we'll worry about that then. But anyways, we'll get some of these top, upper, and lower rad hoses off, and then carry on. Okay, so we've got the upper and lower rad hoses off here now. So I'm not sure what the deal is with these. Like on farm equipment, they have a nice drain valve on the rad and a nice one on the block, and that gets 95% of the coolant out. This, I don't know how to do it nicely, but anyways, the upper rad hose is off. It's kinked around because it's still full of coolant, even though the rad's empty. I drained a bunch more out of the rad connection right here, and I just got that line kind of kinked around. So that's all of the coolant connections. So we just got this block here for the two refrigerant lines, and that can come off. And then as far as electrical, I found my first signs of hackery from the accident. So these are all repair wires, Volkswagen repair wires by the look of it, with a big bundle of butt connectors. So whatever, I don't know if the headlights worked even, but I'll maybe double check that. But we've got a broken connector here for the ambient air temp, I think. Like, that is butchered. Anyway, so that's got to come off. We've also got, okay, so we've got that airbag sensor right there. So that red lock will probably go down, and then I think you should be able to flick that yellow connector up at the top here, and then get that connector off. But yeah, somebody's been in there and they've split this connector in half as well. So those two are already halfway to coming apart for me. We've got our main fan wire connector there, and then the other side, same type of deal, another one of those airbag sensors, and then the high pressure switch for the air conditioning. So that should be it for electrical, I believe. I don't think there's anything else. If there is, I guess I'll find. Okay, so this is what this airbag sensor plug looks like when it's not broken. So basically that red piece, you pry it back just a little bit, so that's how that's gonna sit. It gets slid ahead like that 1/4 of an inch, so it sits right tight in. And then you just push down and up it comes nicely. The other thing you can do is just unscrew the sensor itself. But I've seen it before where these get kind of dry and then they crack when you tighten them back down. So yeah, whatever you want to do, just don't hack this connector all up. Okay, so that connector up here, that's actually for your hood latch sensor. Ambient air temperature was down here. Just this connector, if you squeeze this outside together, it comes out of that holder. So all of our electricals out. The AC lines at the block here, they can be a bit of a pain because they use a steel roll pin that goes into the aluminum condenser and the aluminum lines. So salt be doing salt things, so is what it is. But anyways, so now we're on the home stretch. So we're just got these 2, 4, 6, 8, and then I guess 1 and 2, and we should be good, I think. So I'll unbolt it and see what happens. Okay, so I started taking bolts out here, and it drops down. One thing I completely missed was the hood release. So Volkswagen actually made this incredibly easy. A quick connector right there. So this stays with the body, and this half stays with the rad support. So just pop that out, and then you can get the ball end out of the sleeve here, and then off it comes. So that might be a don't count your chickens until they hatch type deal here. So the ball was seized inside. So I opened it up a little bit here and then took a punch, hammered the ball up, hammer it down, went around a few times until it kind of freed up, and then you could kind of work it loose. That's definitely going back together with a lot of anti-seize, so in the future that'll come out nicer. So just something to keep an eye on. So now we're ready to come off. There we go. So we can get the rad support, everything unbolted nicely here. They look like they use a similar setup to like the Mark IVs for the intercooler at least. They use those little rubber dampeners with the screws that come from the other side. But yeah, I'm taking all that apart. I'll be doing a different video on that, so stay tuned for that one. And then as far as what we can see here nicer, so I got my RCV valve, which wasn't bad before, but that's really easy now. The alternator, I'll probably just take it right out of here and do it on the bench. It's a lot nicer to film when it's not hanging here. That thermostat, it doesn't look much more fun, but whatever, it's still in there. I can get this charge pipe off and get it cleaned out. I can get this EGR line out of here. And the pressure line for the turbo is just back in there. So that shouldn't be too bad to feed up and around once I get this charge pipe out of here and some of these coolant lines, and give me a little bit more wiggle room. So I'm just going to end this here, and if any of the other repair videos seem like what you'd want to watch, then stay tuned for those. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped.